In the summer of 1947, the skies over Roswell, New Mexico shrouded a mystery. An unexplained crash, whispers of alien spacecraft, secret projects, cover-ups, all chronicled by the Roswell Daily Record. This year, from June 30th to July 2nd, venture into the unknown at the annual Roswell Incident. Engage with top UAP experts like Ben Hansen, John B. Alexander, and even Nick Pope, former Ministry of Defense investigator from the UK. Curious? Embrace the discussion and seek knowledge about the enduring mysteries of 1947 and beyond. Visit RoswellIncident.com and immerse yourself in the mystery. In the summer of 1947, the skies over Roswell, New Mexico shrouded a mystery. Or was I muted that whole time?
Yeah, bro. I think you were muted.
Was I?
I thought
yes, dude. You were muted that whole time.
You were muted.
I can't hear you. Ty, I think you were just muted.
Intro?
Yes, I think you were just muted until right there. Bro, I think you were right there the whole time.
Hold on,
bro. I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, wait a second, I can't hear him. Wait, I still can't hear him.
What an unprofessional show this is, huh?
I was trying to get your attention the whole time, dog. I was like, yo, you're muted.
Hey, welcome to Total Disclosure here on YouTube, where we explore the mysteries of the unknown, from sightings to conspiracy theories. We dive deep into the unexplained occurrences in our skies and on the ground. If you're passionate about exploring the unknown and are intrigued by the possibility of extraterrestrial life and it being on this planet currently, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the show with your friends, your family, your enemies, the aliens, the Greys, the Nordics, just not the bad ones. We'll invite them on the show. It'll be fun. First interview with an alien. I think we'd go viral. Stay up to date by subscribing, and if you want to help support the show further, become a member. Trust me, it's worth it. We have a big show tonight, guys. And what I wanted to say before I was rudely interrupted by being muted was I made a tweet today that I didn't realize maybe I worded it incorrectly. We're still going to touch on the topic, but we have other things to talk about as well. We are going to entertain you, and we're going to give you information you've never heard, ever. But my job as a journalist, a podcaster, and a filmmaker is to protect names of sources, names of people who don't want their names out, and to keep this disclosure process moving forward, not to hurt it, dwindle it, or belittle it. I take this very seriously. Very, very seriously. So, with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to my boys over here because I just want to introduce them. Astral, how we doing tonight?
What's up, dude? What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm ready to get into it. And tonight my co-host is Old Vet Symposium, aka Shane Frakes. Shane, I know you have a lot to talk to us about tonight. Want to begin by talking to us about who you are?
Okay. I'm Shane Frakes. I'm a reporter for the Roswell Daily Record, also a decorated combat veteran, but an experiencer. Been living in the Yakima Valley for a while. Been having experience for a while, continuing, right? And here I am at Roswell Daily Record reporting on the subject. Now, I'm a UAP reporter, UFO reporter. I would call myself an anomalist because the phenomenon's that incorporated. And I'll also say you guys actually missed it. When he was muted, he actually gave the time, date, and how disclosure is going to happen. So we'll see you guys later. Good night.
All right. Good night, guys.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. Here's the thing.
We do have a lot of information, and it's going to be, we have to protect whistleblowers, and we're not going to propagate people who already gave people's names.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you this. What he just said times this. Yes, the information's out. But if they don't want it out, unwritten rule, don't retweet it. Don't talk about it. Don't even negatively say it's happening. So we're going to move the fuck on from that. And I'm going to tell you a story about people want to talk about our crash retrieval type thing, right? And they keep thinking some guy walked up to us and said, hey, guys, I want to tell you. Let me explain. I've never told this to anybody. Never talked about this anywhere. But it's probably time we talk about at the very least, how we got this. The reason I'm going to tell you how we got this, you should be excited. Because if disclosure's not happening one way, Toby, me, John at the Roswell Daily Record, because again, we're a newspaper. We're doing an investigation, and we're pretty good at this subject. So I'm going to tell you all this information and let you parse it about our guy. And then I'll start telling you some different stories that I've heard. Now, here's the important thing about this. People don't have to believe me. We didn't just take a guy's word. We're a newspaper. We have sources that we can vet information. And I can promise you guys this, if you stick around, at the end, there's going to be an AM or whatever. You can ask me questions about some of this. And some of the stuff you've heard before out there because it's wild and no one will believe it. There's a reason disinformation exists. There's a reason so much of it exists. Let's just say some of the biggest events you've ever heard about, right? There's probably truth to those. And you can connect some of those dots. And I can also tell you that no matter what, disclosure is coming. It may have to be back. All these things happen. It's a process. And I kind of talk about it on Twitter about the plan. Imagine having to make a disclosure plan. How would you do that if you're in the government? There's NDAs, classifications. You have security clearances. You have to plan that out. Do you think it would go to T? No. It's coming, guys. There's people, there's whistleblowers. So we're going to move on to this. Ty, after you guys have any questions before I start talking about the story of how we found this whistleblower, and then you guys can take me from there.
Yeah.
Not whistleblower. I should say this crash retrieval source. He's not one of the guys talking now. We're not. That's what I meant. So we're moving on from that.
Right. So basically what we wanted to talk about tonight was there are people that are coming forward to the government. We know this. We know that they're going forward to the government, and we know that they're telling their stories, and that is going to get this subject advanced to a place that it's never been before, where we have people going to Congress and basically telling them things they've never heard. And it's not just the nuts and bolts side of things. I mean, we've had Mario Woods on the show before, and if his story is to be believed, the guy was abducted at a nuclear missile silo, right? Is he one of these people that is testifying? Like, if so, that's a big deal to hear that in front of congressional hearings. When they come, hopefully in June, is going to be a large deal. Astro, what do you think about? I mean, all the hype that came around this whole whistleblower thing, the language in the NDAA, and just this dangling of the carrot. How do you feel about all this?
So check this out. I'm going to talk about whistleblowers that have already come out, but that's fine. That's a different thing. If they come forward and they say, my name is this, I'm whistleblowing, that's a different story. We can talk about that. And somebody in the comments is making new information. I can promise you guys, you stick around, you'll have new information that no one else has. Look, you guys are hanging on the wrong stuff. It's not about the names. It's about what they say, right? Yeah, you guys got clickbait, but not in a bad way, because I promise you what I'm going to tell you is real. It's way better. In my opinion, it's literally one of the biggest things that's ever going to happen, because our guy also happened to be, let's call him a collector of things back before all this digital security shit, right? And one of the things that's important to remember, we vetted him, and I'll tell you that our guy is such that if you saw his bio background record, you would think he was Captain fucking America. Matter of fact, you would think he's one of the people that's probably everyone assumed is talking. Now we fast forward that. That's what we should focus on. The things that they have, right? Our guy, for example, when we found this information, we actually heard a deathbed confession type thing, right? We did a whole thing, and we got a piece of information which led one thing to another. So then we were on the hunt for an individual's family, is what we thought, because obviously he had to be dead.
Right.
We spent months, me, John, and Toby, at the Roswell Daily Record, looking, searching, trying to find it. We even sent people to what we thought was the place, whatever, and looking around, and nothing. We couldn't figure it out. All of a sudden, Toby gets in contact with him, or vice versa, right? And he's pissed that we found him. He's pissed we were trying to find him, because we kind of stirred some shit up, because he doesn't want to talk, doesn't want people to know about him, doesn't want shit happening. And he was pissed, man, so pissed. The only thing that calmed him at that moment, because I'll tell you this, before he got bazillions of PhDs and degrees, this guy has a military record like I've never seen. Okay. So when Toby told him that John and I were veterans, I was a Wounded Warrior alumni, he kind of chilled a bit. Okay. We proceeded to vet him. By vetting him, please guys, stick around. I do have sources within the government. They don't give me shit, but I can check stuff, make sure I'm on the right track all over the place, right? News organization, remember that. So we started to. Now, as we do, one thing leads to another. I have no doubt in my mind he is who he says he is. There's no doubt in my mind. Someone like that is not a disinformation. That'd be underqualified. Now, I'll also tell you this. If you want to minimize contact in these programs, the amount of people in these programs, you guys should be retweeting this, putting it out there, because in the end, you're going to find out this is real. Our guy was friendly. Let's just say he's friends with Von Braun. Von Braun. Open that up.
Hold on. So this is a source that you came across. You vetted this source, right? you didn't even know he was alive.
No, actually, yeah, we didn't. We thought we'd be looking for family to find the evidence we were looking for.
Right. You end up finding the real guy. And now he's telling, because you've both vetted each other, he's telling you things and he's telling you stories. Now, can you go into some of those stories?
Yeah. Before I do that, I should probably also say, check this out. This is how I know he's legit. He still didn't want to deal with us. He was scared for his life. Dude was so scared for his life. And again, a badass at this old age, he could still kill me probably. He had built things into his house so he could, on the sly, keep an eye out for people trying to kill him. Okay. Now, someone made us in the comments. They want just not more than just experiencers talking. Shane, I'm about to say my own name. Shane, Toby, John, and I are working on that. This guy has more than just stories. Imagine someone who liked to collect things, and they're old enough. They know this information needs to get out somehow, somewhere. Now we're working on. Doesn't mean he's going to want to talk, because again, this goes back to maybe he wants to stay invisible. We should protect that.
By a pseudonym.
Yes, and anyway, get that information, that data. So let me just say that I will also say that he has information that, and he talks about to us that he's collected it over the years, copies of, let's say, things that no longer exist in the NASA Ames library, photos, stuff like that, right? This is stuff he's telling us. And so far, he's told us gold. He has no reason really to tell us bullshit. And the other reason is, again, the person like that, with those kind of qualifications, no, there's no fucking way they're crazy. When I also know the information they're talking about, they've been talking about, this isn't just now. And so here's where it starts. We didn't just get a guy call us, hey, I'm this guy. Toby went back and happened to, because me and him were doing this UFO thing now, writing, he went back and checked some old email shit that was long since off the servers. And he found one that no one looked at from years ago. So think about that, years. Okay. And we said, what the hell? And that's where it starts. So it's not like it was just someone trying to look. We've checked, we've been checking. So you should be excited, because this guy actually tells us he has the goods, right? But I'll also start talking about, because like Ty said, a lot of the information you hear, these things are out there. I'll probably say allegedly, or I heard a story. Secret space program. What have you guys heard about that?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a moment. Secret space program. Do you think that the Americans were first to the moon?
Oh, good question. No.
Now, why do you think that?
Well, I think one could do wonders with two Jimmy Rig V2 rockets if you weren't expecting the astronauts to come back alive, right?
So if you sent, so are you alleging that there was potentially a mission by an unnamed country to strap two V2 rockets together and send people to their death?
Let me put it to you this way. Would the United States government, who was the first to the moon, want you to know that or tell you that? No, but I'll also say you could use stage 1 V2 rocket to get you in the atmosphere out there, right? Use stage 2 to aim your ass at the moon. And you're probably going to want to make sure you die quickly. They're probably amped up on methamphetamines. I'm just assuming things here.
Just like they did to Hitler.
Right. But you probably get some good data, information, or photos that exist or did exist somewhere. And someone might have saw those.
It's so obvious what country this would have been to me at least.
Here's the other thing. Someone just mentioned Bob Lazar. I'm going to point you at two things. People can think he's full of shit. They can think Corbell and all. I'm promising you, man. Someone else just came out, whistleblower, not too while back, talking about element 115 in this stuff, right? And if you think the government, United States government, will not go back and change things, I also have it in my purview that I'm pretty sure, okay, so some of our tech comes from this stuff, right? You don't think they'd go back and change a patent by a couple of years? If it's that wacky? Come on.
They absolutely would.
Yes. So
they absolutely would.
Don't do anything for secret.
So here's an example. Me, this is what sucks. Because of my past, it's probably fairly easy. If the CIA and all them wanted to come at me, discredit me, it wouldn't be hard. Mistakes like that is what they do. Bob Lazar, that's how they did it, right? But the fact that there's people who know him, he worked there. They came so hard at him. He speaks of things that are now kind of coming to light in little forms. He's speaking some kind of truth. And I know people don't like to think of this, but I could promise you some of the stuff that I know or think or I'm starting to put together so crazy. I don't even like to talk about because everyone's thinking nuts and bolts with this film. Disclosures, that's about all it's going to be. But I can promise you what's going on, the United States government's probably not keeping this secret now with everything out just because of a crash retrieval program. There's probably a lot more to it, which I know.
Right. So crash retrieval programs, now Gary Nolan has even said recently that crash retrieval programs, if they're going to be the next shoe to drop, do you believe that will be true? So that'll be the next.
Hold that question. Someone just asked us similar. Like right there. Let me answer it because I'll forget. You'll remember yours. So about shooting them down. How do you know we don't?
Corbell says we do.
We do. I'll tell you right now. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Go on my Twitter. I talk about this. James Fox was looking for an aircraft that brought home said entity. I found said aircraft. That aircraft at Charleston, Joint Base Charleston. I happened, with the help of other people from UFO Twitter, because I was looking for a unit that was basically Majestic 12, an SOP to clandestine pick up these units. Well, I'll take it a step further. We have the tracking. I know where, all these things, right? We have the ability. I also know that we have the ability to take them down. Hell, you can just take the radar flap, the UFO flap in 1947 in New Mexico, where we were testing at White Sands radar. So we do shoot them down. But how do we differentiate? We're not just going to randomly shoot down advanced civilizations. Ask yourself that. Because again, they'd own us. How would we know the difference? And how would we know how to protect ourselves?
Right. Right. And I absolutely agree. Now, a lot of people are upset that we're not talking about any new information. Now, when they allude to new information, can I ask you guys at least this? What do they mean when they mean new information?
In which aspect? Are we talking about new information coming?
So
you want to know what the whistleblowers are talking about?
So they want to know. So I think the audience is just frustrating because what we were going to talk about tonight was an alleged post that was going to come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I probably shouldn't have used those words in that title, right? And I think they're upset because that new information. There are people whose names have been named, but we don't want to continue to propagate.
Let me explain. Most people aren't thinking like this. When you're let's say if you're active duty, if you want to be a whistleblower, you're actually kind of almost breaking the law because you got chain of command, you got all these things you got to do. How do we know they're not and they are? So again, we got to take that into account. If they don't want their information, names, or anything talked about, we don't propagate it, because by doing that, all we're doing is giving them shit. Why the hell would you come forward with that new information? How do you know they're going to do it now? So I know you guys want it, guys. I know everybody wants it. I can tell you, I want it. I want disclosure like anybody. Trust me. Today, I mean, I still see shit today. But if you're patient and we do this right, we're not going to scare people away. We're going to force their hand and get disclosure. There's all kinds of people working it. There's certain things we may, I know there's a whole news thing, journalism. You need to put no, not necessarily if it means it's going to prevent someone from speaking the truth. Do you want someone to stop from talking about this? Because they will. And I don't want you to be mad at him.
That's the point. We can't scare these people away by putting their names forward and then treating them. Look what happened to Edward Snowden. The guy had to move to Russia because he put information into the public that, yes, you could say was treasonous, but only under a bill that was outdated, right? The technology and what the NSA was doing was far surpassing the time they wrote that bill for the treason bill. So it needs to be updated.
Check out.
So
Dreamscape.
These people are scared to come forward because they think they're going to be the next Edward Snowden. And if we continue to propagate their names and who they are before they want it out, it's going to be a problem, and disclosure is going to be halted.
Yeah, and let me point this out too. Dreamscape, you just made a comment. Know a guy, no one said that. We know the guy. Period. We use our sources within the government to check that guy. Now, let me ask you this. That's the shit we should be focusing on. You guys are focusing on the drama, the bullshit. All this shit doesn't matter, man. It's what they prove, show, things like that. People cannot believe me all you want. Me and John and Toby, completely happy with who this guy is. You're going to be behind the curve. I can promise you that. Way behind the curve, because no one's knowing a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. We know the guy, and we checked him out. Now it's a matter of he won't tell us certain shit over a phone. I don't blame him. He's scared for his life. So we're going to go there. You don't have to believe me. I'm more than happy. My questions are getting, kind of answered. I already know the shit's real because I'm an experiencer, right? But again, absolutely. It's nice to, after the fact, to talk to my guy, and he knows a shitload about Yakima Valley and Hanford and things that I know, right? So, yeah, you don't have to believe it. You can stick around. You could do the fighting and bullshit that doesn't matter about this topic. Or you can be Total Disclosure, Astro, any of these people who are trying to add to it. And by adding to it, that means not propagating bullshit that doesn't matter, which is drama and things like that. And again, parse your information. I'm not telling you, believe me. I can promise you, Dreamscape, the amount of information I've taken in on this subject, I could point you A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? It's up to you to decide, is that real? Not me. And if you don't, not my problem. I know the shit's here. Hell, it's everywhere, right? So now it's just a matter of, how do we prove it? That's what we should be working on, not this bullshit.
How do we prove it? It's crash retrieval programs. It's these witnesses. I choose not to call them whistleblowers. I choose to call them witnesses, but that's a different story, and that's because I am friends with Stephen Bassett, who chooses to call them witnesses instead of whistleblowers, because whistleblowers is it's connotated with negativity, like Edward Snowden.
Right. And I don't mean to yell at that. I'm not singling them out. I'm trying to explain that. What do you want? Do you want whistleblowers that are going to tell a story? Don't believe me. Or do you want a whistleblower that has shit? Because back in the day, it's a lot easier to sneak and make copies of stuff, right? Now it's not. Don't believe me. Stand by.
Hold on a second, Shane. So there's a potential that there's a whistleblower out there, we'll say, waiting in the wings, that may have something more than just a story.
Oh, potential, not potential.
When we get done with this, when we get done with this project, the world will have to know disclosure has happened.
Here's the best part, guys. The best part. People want to get up in this stuff, right? But it may slow it down. Who gives a shit about any of that? We should be focused on disclosure. What that is, right? Doesn't mean it's going to be the government. Here's the best part, guys. It's not going to be the government. But you can stand by, because there are people within the government who want it. There are news organizations who want it. And I can very much promise you, there may be news and reporters who do report on this and who do know some about the subject. But there are no reporters that were an experiencer, threw themselves into the subject head first, learned the shit out of it, became a reporter, right? So my first thing is, I can easily get past the, do I have to believe it's here? Or is it really real? I'm past that. I can start looking at the deeper, darker, weirder things. And because of that, I'm telling you now, if you're not paying attention to the Roswell Daily Record, the UFO news source, you're going to miss out, because I can promise you, I can't explain how I'm here doing this shit. My alien overlords must have dragged me this way. But here I am at the Roswell Daily Record with a legit read-in source from back in the day, who I have no doubt you guys will eventually be like, oh shit, I shouldn't have doubted him. Now it's about getting his information, his data, his whatever he has.
Well, we have a question. How will this whistleblower come forward? Is it going to be the Roswell Daily Record?
Oh, hell yeah, it'll be Roswell Daily Record. And also, any other whistleblowers, holla at your boy. We'll protect you, get you where you need to go. And then you can give us an exclusive.
And we're adding to the site a page where people can report their sightings, not just sightings, but their encounters. Astral is going to add that to our website so that we have another way of collecting reports and gathering data. Astral, how do you feel about this whole subject and the drama and everything that's been going on? Because I see that look in your face like I have something to say.
This guy.
No, I think just the frustrating part probably for a lot of people is the hype shit. And even with like TTSA and Tom DeLonge, I think a lot of the stuff that would frustrate people is this like this thing is coming or something's on the horizon or like whatever this next thing is going to be it that convinces people or that brings people over the edge. And I think a lot of, when a lot of people think about disclosure, they think about this one sort of event taking place that's going to convince a large number of people that something is going on. With the events that are coming up and a lot of the talk that people are doing that are, making their rounds and the researchers and some of the bigger names, I think there's a lot of pressure coming up with the timetable that people are saying with things that are happening. But I do think there are some things taking place where there are going to be some whistleblowers and people's opportunity. Now with Arrow, we're talking about Arrow is one of the focuses on how whistleblowers are going to present their information. So if Arrow is a lot of the time, their interpretation from the whistleblowers is that they're listening, but they're not taking our testimony seriously. Like they're just using it to corroborate their data of sightings or evidence that they already have, but they're not looking into the information that we're giving them actively as whistleblowers. And so I think the whistleblowers now are looking towards another avenue to get their information out. And the way that people can look into it and get their information is going to be interesting. And I think the Roswell Daily Record and James Fox and all of these people that are now presenting like, hey, come to us, even, total disclosure, and let us know your experiences or what you have to say. And we'll present it to a larger audience and let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah. And we had a question. So has anyone else oh my God, I can't read. Has anyone else been hearing 2027 as a deadline for open contact? Yes. I think that is going around. So Stephen Bassett was just recently on our YouTube live last week, and he thinks summertime disclosure is happening. And disclosure is right around the corner within months. Now, it could even be weeks. We don't even know at this point. We'll bring Shane up to talk about that in a second. But by 2027, there's this date that's being talked about that the government, now, who knows what that is? Could it be the government has found something with the James Webb that knows it's on its way here? And is seeing it in the distance, blocking out the stars as it passes through? That could be something that they know that they can put a time frame on. And that's why it's in the Central Intelligence Agency. It's in those agencies because the alarm is being rung, and they have a deadline to get disclosure done by now, right? Because they're being forced. Because why else would they just start telling us information? That could be one reason.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I completely agree with that. I've heard it multiple times, Ty. I've heard it from multiple people.
We know craft are powering up at the sun. We've seen pictures, some really funky pictures of what seem to be craft grabbing energy from the sun, which blows my mind. But I mean, I don't know,
Well, one of the interesting things too is NASA's coming up with a meeting. I think
which
in the next
we will
week.
be
next week,
just like we did the congressional hearings. We'll be streaming the NASA hearing as well, or the briefing. So Astra, continue.
Oh, I just think that's interesting. In like the Galileo project, Avi Loeb, there's people that are, I feel like, credible that are looking into this. Gary Nolan, and there's information out there, and a lot of this stuff on Twitter and UFO Twitter. A lot of the intention is just to get the information out to a larger group of people, and I can appreciate people who are really working hard to do that. So just
Now-
want to say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
2027?
No. So Shane, what do you have to say on 2027?
2027 is it's a date that it's come up a couple times. So
Mhm.
you got actually Chris Bledsoe talks about it, UFO of God.
Yep.
And John Ramirez
Lou
talks about it as well.
Elizondo,
Well,
also in
there's a reason. And
2022,
these
also
guys
said,
kind of talk about it as that's when they show themselves type thing, right? Disclosures
Mhm.
happen way sooner than that, but you need to buckle up because again, do you need your government to tell you something to know that it's real?
No.
I want the scientists, the people who fucking do the science or try to figure it out to tell me it's real. Dude, now again, I don't want to get into we dealt with this with the whole fight with Fauci and things like that and president talking about it. You want the people who deal with it to talk about it and tell you about it. So why are we waiting for the CIA or these assholes to give us disclosure? It's here. No, we should be taking the information that's being given to them, right? And not all of it's third party. Some of it's, hey, I've seen this, done all these other things, right? Now, I'll also tell you that people who have been around this stuff, like not my guy, we're working our ass off. He may not want to do his thing, but he got the evidence, right? So we just got to figure out how to do this. Now, people, the thing we need from everybody else is just simply keep doing what you're doing. Now, again, there are things that can scare whistleblowers, so we have to be careful. We have to be careful every step with what we do. Maybe something scares them off and then you're down. But I can tell you this. I don't know about other whistleblowers. I'm not going to talk about them. Mine is a guy from back in the day. And when you started these programs, he has multiple jobs within the program. And like I said, you don't have to believe me. He's real. He's real. Roswell Daily Records and News Org. We've been doing this shit, right? Our guy has given us information. And on top of that we vetted that we know he's real. He says he has shit. And again, he's
some
pointing
material.
I can't talk about any of that because again, he's not going to. He only gives us bits on the phone, but I'll say that he's legit. And I'll also tell you this. Don't doubt TTSA, Jim Simi Van, Tom. A lot of the stuff that they talk about and they're in their books, I've heard elsewhere. And I get irritated a little bit, and I shouldn't. When I say I heard elsewhere, because people are like a guy from a guy. I'm a reporter. I have sources that aren't Jimmy from the podcast. Okay. I have sources within the government. My guy, I have quite a few. So when I'm talking to you guys, I can promise you, I'll give you kind of what I have. Doesn't mean it's true or not. I won't give you bullshit. My source, I'm not telling you stuff that Jimmy from UFO Twitter said. I'll never do that. Right? I'm kind of giving you kind of where I'm going with information. So you should be excited. I know you don't know who the fuck I am. I don't know who the fuck I am, and I don't know how I'm here, but I am. We got the info. We're working on it. Roswell Daily Record. Remember that. And if the government doesn't give it, you think it's not coming, I can promise you we're going to bring that shit.
So, Corso, Tom, maybe you want to talk about Corso?
Yeah, sure. So Philip Corso, someone in the chat had asked, what do I think of him? I guess as far as credibility and legitimacy. I don't. How do you find somebody else above that? You have, like, especially with Roswell. Like, how many different people have come forward that we know were there? We know they were active duty. We know where they were when this happened, and they tell a story that is remarkable, to say the least. But then here comes person number 2 and person number 3. Like, I've looked at the whole body of all these military whistleblowers connected to Roswell. Artificial intelligence has been used on footage that they've recorded of these individuals being interviewed, asking them questions. Corso, real deal to me. I read The Day After Roswell. I've read a bunch of books on Roswell. Roswell happened. All right. Like, I'd be willing to bet my life savings on it at this point. It happened. They told us it happened. They did. And then they retracted it. I mean, think about how many different people that were involved with that situation later on down the line said, yeah, so that material that we had in that famous photograph, that's not what we found out in the desert. And oh, hi, I'm the son of so and so, and I handled the material, and it did this. And then people, not only that, this material that was found at Roswell that did what it did, it was able to maintain its form. They couldn't cut it, burn it, scratch it, and they would just go back. It was like this weird kind of tinfoil, very light, but it's extraordinarily durable.
Which has also been talked about.
Varginha. Exactly, Ty. You're spot on, brother. Spot on. That's exactly what I'm getting at. So there's like these different levels of corroboration. So it's like that's in a completely different part of the world. All these years later, how many people in Brazil do you really think knew about Roswell and what that material did? The internet wasn't like it is now. You know, the world wasn't as connected. Yeah. Corso's legit, though. Of course, I absolutely believe Corso's testimony. 100%.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. Shane.
I'll tell you something about Corso.
Okay, go ahead.
So Sheehan just kind of made a conversation. I don't know where he did it at. He specifically mentions Corso after Roswell somewhere, that he goes outside of base and he gets some kind of telepathy. Bear with me, guys, because I'm promising you the phenomenon's way weirder than this. And it tells him, hey, your radar's messing with us. So he goes in and turns it off. Sheehan was talking about that, right? But that's not the first place I've heard that. And that's also how we kind of got how to take some of these down. Radar. We don't want to do it on purpose. And someone mentioned earlier, bait, track, capture. Yes. Now, think about this. How and why would we know what stories are out there that exist where we collaborate, per se, with maybe treaties? And they talk about another race incoming, and they were trying to contact. So again, these are things that you can parse yourselves. I have to be careful sometimes, because a lot of this is what he's telling us. And I will tell you, he is who he says he is. A lot of this stuff's out there. Now you start parsing in things like, okay, so you have the 2 treaties, right? Secret space program. You also now have this, I guess you would say, Majestic 12 is real. Anything Stanton Friedman has written is legit. Check it out. He's got a book about Majestic 12. What if you upgraded that program? And I think some of them are at least at Joint Base Charleston. How many cases? This crew's got to know. The people in these comments, Kecksburg, you've got Pure Church, the Welsh incident, right? With that were Kaz, right?
Yeah.
You've got that one. You've got Cash Landrum. These are all incidents where they're not just talking about the military arrived later on. They were either being chased.
The military were there.
Or there. Now, come on, guys. We're all logical. So it stands to reason. They're not waiting around with their thumbs up their ass. Like, I hope one comes this way so we can shoot it down. No, they're not. 2 ways this can happen. I don't know which way, but think about this. Through a treaty, they know a schedule of some sort. Take that with whatever you will. Or, which I do know we have the ability, and I know where we do it at and know how to track them. But take a step. We're not stupid. We know we can't defeat. We know these type of things. How do we know which ones to take down? There's only one real way to know which ones. How do we know which ones are evil, right? How? Go back to what I said about the treaties. Okay. Now, I know people have heard stories about lizards. There's stories out there about cattle mutilation. Not all cattle mutilation.
The reptilians?
Yes.
The Dracos.
You know that I have a line in the sand.
You shouldn't. Because I promise you, your line's going to get crossed so many times, you're going to start questioning your fucking reality.
Astral said, "Oh shit."
So
my reality, my reality was challenged when Betty convinced me that abductions happened.
I can tell you this. There's actually there's multiple witness testimony, right? Of people who've seen reptilians cattle mutilating. Not all cattle.
No way.
I posted on Twitter. You can go look at it. That's not the only case where people have seen them and they were reputable. Doesn't mean they're real. Because again, Valet, Keel talk about this being enchantment, electromagnetism, anything on that spectrum, our brain can be messed with. But I'm telling you, these are things that you should start not necessarily believing. You made a comment about your line. Well, what if? There's a reason the government isn't telling us some of these things. It's not because of the crash retrievals. They know way more than they're saying. And that way more is so crazy.
Do you think that they have or have had
Men in Black type organization? Yes. Galactic Federation type shit. Yeah, I do.
Do you think they've had an alien in possession?
Oh, hell yeah, they have. Matter of fact, I think they have, EBE bodies or NHI. Maybe not still, but they did. But I'll also tell you, Corbell talks about, you guys are going to I'm telling you, Corbell talks about a live one, right? What if, independent of Corbell, elsewhere, this isn't from my source, I'd read multiple places, and you can also read Rachel's Eyes, but elsewhere in crash retrievals, they talk about a freaking NHI grade, whatever you want to call it, going home with an officer. Right? It's not about taking one source. It's about taking multiple places that are independent of each other. Some of that's got to be true somewhere, especially if you start tracking back. So some of my people have told me, and in general terms, this is what I want to leave you with on this part. People who are thinking it's rabbit holes. Someone mentioned that the other night. I live in a rabbit hole with whatever I'm interacting with. Shouldn't exist, shouldn't happen like this. Well, maybe that's why we don't know what's going on, because sometimes it's in this rabbit hole. And Corbell is a real deal. Alien Con, me and him, I met him up the air. We were talking.
He's the real deal, but he won't go past a certain point.
He won't, man. I'm going to tell you this. People trust him to give him videos and things like that. And he's a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. Toby and I, and John, are UFO researchers. We're happen to be pretty fucking good at investigating. I don't know why. Right? And so what we're doing is, in addition to what the stuff he's being given, like you guys want to think that we're being, Lou and all them are telling us this, that, or whatever. And if, whatever you guys have heard about them and their disclosure plan and them trying to get it, believe it. Independently, we've come across during one of our other articles about John Burroughs, other information that validates all this shit, right? From somewhere else. They haven't told us. And I'll also tell you this. Oh, I've never talked about this. You guys know MK Ultra is a thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this, that I have a theory. I'm not going to say a name. That someone that everyone talks about, it's part of all this, was young enough and was a part of that program. And I also think this is just me spitballing.
Part of it on the
programs don't end. They rename.
I'm saying involved in the program as a participant or
as a CIA doctor, whatever you want to call them, whatever. Okay. But my point is, programs don't end. They rename themselves. Now, if they're going to try to reverse engineer technology because it'll help them militarily. Well, why wouldn't you guys know what AHI are? Anomalous health injuries. When you're around craft, shit happens, right?
So John Burroughs, Cash Landrum. Well, that was
all those incidents. We figured that out. Now, why would we not try to reverse engineer that? Now, we would utilize, who would we use for that? We would use probably, well, here's an example. What kind of a place that uses a National Guard unit and stacks them 100 yards away from a bomb? Our guy told us that as well. From an atomic bomb, 100 yards. So again, we know what MK Ultra was. They renamed, right? I think we were not just reverse engineering craft, reverse engineering Havana syndrome.
So
whatever that is.
Havana syndrome is where Gary Nolan comes in. The government comes knocking on his door and they say, hey, we have a bunch of people who are getting hurt. We have no idea what the fuck is going on. We need your help because he's who he is. So that's when Gary Nolan comes into the scene. And then he does the Greer, material and Greer tries to turn it on him, etc., so on and so forth. But someone asked where Nolan came from. So that's kind of how it happened. Tom.
Yo.
So with disclosure around the corner, how do you think the average American is going to react?
Is it around the corner?
Hopefully. I mean, okay, so let's look at it from.
Don't put a date on it. If you're going to put a date on it, you're going to be really disappointed. It's coming.
Never know,
I promise it's fucking coming. If I have to bring
That's why I say
I have the shit to bring it.
I think yeah, you're right though. We won't put a date on it, but like let's just say, all right, let's say our lifetime in the least, right? Like
hell yeah.
Right. Like we're closer than ever. Let's just say it were to happen next week. It doesn't matter, right? It just happens because humanity changes gradually over long time cycles. So I feel like if this had happened decades ago, it would have been a stronger ontological shock.
Hey, did someone say baseless claims on Greer?
I was gonna say I was literally typing. They're not baseless.
No, there's an article out there about it. Actually, there's an article we got busted with Flair.
I read. Yep.
And I always still listen to what Greer says.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Guys, I don't.
Take it into
if you want a free experience, come to Yakima Valley. I don't. No one should charge for that shit. It's there. Come to Yakima Valley. I'll get you a free experience. There's an article out there about
everybody's going to make money somehow.
He's brought a lot of good stuff at the beginning, but people lose their way. That's all I'm going to say.
People, I agree with that. I agree.
We're not here to divide and conquer either. I see that in the comment. We're here to just try to dig through the information the best that we can. And
but the problem is this, bro. It's not about divide and conquer.
Anybody else.
But when someone takes money for this, the people that want disclosure realize, wait, why would you? It looks right. So my point is that no one should charge for that. It looks bad upon all of us. He brought some good shit back in the day. Don't know what happened.
He's integral. He's integral. If 9/11 didn't happen, his National Press Club event in 2001, which was months before 9/11, that could have made waves had 9/11 not happened.
Yeah. Frank Milburn's a friend of mine. Good dude, brother, veteran. Just be wary. It's coming. Dates can change. 2027 date, shit. That might be the date. According to Chris Bledsoe, that's the date that whatever's here discloses. That's what he
information.
That's what's interesting.
That's the information I got from someone as well.
That's what it's like. Well, how would anybody know that? But okay, here I'll say this to kind of piggyback off of Ty's question, how people would react. I think there will be there would be a very big, massive difference between government disclosure and the phenomenon disclosing itself. This one might have a strong reaction where people are like, oh, what is happening right now? And if the military or the president or whoever comes out and says it, I feel like a lot of people are just going to be like, yeah, I thought so. There's going to be some people who are like, I don't believe it because I don't believe anything the military or the government says. And then you're going to have that other group, that's us, where we're like, finally. But if it discloses itself, I can't predict what that would look like. That's a very interesting idea.
What if now, given a circumstance, what if an alien craft pops up above New York City and sits there? Do you think there'd be mass chaos?
There would definitely be there would be a strong reaction. But
I think it's more like Peter Levenda posted on Twitter a couple months ago of it's like a shared dream. So millions of people wake up with the same contact dream, and then they start posting about it and realize that everybody's had the same dream and contact with the same type of beings.
I know the.
And I think that's sort of when I think about contact, more of like happening through these paranormal type of ways or psychic type of experiences, that mass type of experiences, than like a spaceship driving from Mars out of the solar system.
Be freaky to us.
Yeah.
But
hey, Chris had a question.
A shared dream between us all, and then all of a sudden we're all like, "Wait, bro, we all had the same dream."
It's a deeper connection and of experience. Yeah.
And then something comes and says, hey, we're here. We were the ones who sent the message peacefully to get
just that we have the ability. Just that we have the ability. Even I feel like if we're contacting other species that are far away and that aren't able to physically travel here. Out of body experiences, DMT, these sort of ways that people have been, quote unquote, traveling far distances psychically would be the way to do it. And so that's how we would be communicating with other civilizations, not through like getting a spaceship and like fucking blasting off into space somewhere. Like we would find alternate states of consciousness to be able to make contact with them.
Right.
Hey guys,
right.
Real quick. Couple comments. Someone said,
wait a second. So for just to categorize, guys, if you can help the show out, we're trying to do a lot right now, and we're trying to bring better content to you. We're working on documentaries. We're working on a bunch of great videos. If you can help support the channel, send a super chat. If you want to ask a question to any of us directly, please do. But super chats will definitely get priority, and they'll definitely be appreciated. Thank you, guys.
And please share the show, because that's how we get more people on the discussion.
So
for sure,
we have these conversations, and my list of interviews is with the most legit people you'll get.
So
doesn't get much more legit.
Retweet this, like, subscribe, guys, and ask some questions. I'll answer questions.
Really.
If you have anything about anything I've talked about, but I need to say, Chris, yes. Again, I'm not. No, look, I started as a podcaster because of this topic, but now I'm a reporter. I have sources. I have sources within the government that would all over the place, right? To vet information, people, things. Otherwise, we would not have spent 4 months on them. You guys should be excited. Doesn't matter. I could say I'm hyping it. No matter what, he's legit. No matter what, we're working on it, right? And here's somebody else just made a comment. Disclosure from disclosure next week to a lifetime. No one said that. What we're saying, I think it was a miscommunication. 2027 is about the alien disclosing, or whatever you want to call them. Disclosure for us, depending on how you need to take it. I don't need my government to tell it's here. I need the experts to tell me it's here. The experts would be people who worked within the crash retrieval programs, who were doctors working on AHI or any of these other things. Shout out UAP Med, Astral, and I do that. Because again, there's something's here, and there's a whole niche of things that aren't being taken care of because of that shit. Now, people came here. They want to know, well, where's the information to prove that this stuff's here? And it's all out there. It's all out there. I need you guys to just take a breath and start thinking. You're wanting whistleblowers to prove something to you that people all over the world are talking about, right? Collective mass hysteria? No. There's a reason, while experiences may differ, they're pretty damn similar. Now, everything that's going on, part of the reason I'm going to tell you that I think all this is just all wacky and they don't want it disclosed. It's not the craft. It's deep, dark rabbit holes. Hell, you don't believe in what? Precog, premonition, remote viewing? You should. Because our government does. Our government also, come on, guys. They don't believe in aliens. They don't know about aliens, but they believe in AHI, which is anomalous health injuries. The other case that we're actually working another angle. We did an interview with an FBI agent, right? He wanted representing the people being hit with Havana syndrome. And somebody had made a comment earlier about that. Who says it was somebody else? Hell, that supposedly Scott Andrews' book that's going to be coming out talks about our own government doing it to try to prevent him from getting information out, right? So again, back date, let's say maybe we were doing reverse engineering on that kind of tech, like how to use that stuff. A lot of the players in this, you've got all kinds of them, right? So our government has known for a long time, and I'm going to give you little bits of information. Here's some proof. You guys want your proof? If you don't, I don't get how some people don't see. Oh, so John Burroughs, Rendlesham incident. That was a big deal. He disappeared. I can tell you for a fact that he was such a big deal. Whatever happened to him, the government wanted. They stole his DNA, his blood, so they could test it.
And that the motherfuckers tried to say he wasn't in the military when the incident happened.
Yes, they produced a false document to muddy when he came in, which showed, which I have, He came in 2 years after the incident, which wasn't right. There's two of them. He had two. What frick? I forget which document. Two DD-214s is what he had. One with the dates 2 years after the incident, one with the dates during. Now, here's what you need to pay attention to. So they did that. His records, he can't see. They're top secret. In the United States of America, there's a man who cannot see his blood work and shit because they are top secret. Why would that happen? One of two things: MK Ultra or aliens. There's your proof. It's a soft admittance right there. Even the IG, of course, if you read our article, Roswell Daily Record, Toby, shout out all in there, right? If you read our article, we talk about the fact that even the people that are supposed to have access and not be stopped, Inspector General, can't get fucking access. There's a moment when, because he asked for his records, someone who's supposed to be able to, has these kind of classifications, tries to bring it up, what's called a red flag happens or something along those lines. And immediately he's shut down. You can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Why? Come on, guys. You're trying for something. You basically want an alien to show up on your lawn and say, hey guys, I'm here. Let's hang. The government's lying to you. There's all kinds of information showing you. It's right out there. Ask questions. What happened to Astro, man? Did I bore him? I probably bored him,
No,
man.
he had to go. Billy Robert, 4.99 super chat says, will open contact happen quickly after disclosure, or will it be years after?
Good question. Gotta speculate.
What's open contact? Do you mean will they announce themselves, or do you mean will you get to see them?
So I think what he means is disclosure happens at a governmental level, and then will open contact then happen over multiple years or quickly with the actual species?
Open contact could be a lot of different things. It could be a transmission. It could be an image. It could be them coming down and attempting to speak with us. It could be sign language. It could be writing. Like, it could be like Watch Contact with Jodie Foster. That was open contact on some level. It's hard to say what it would look like.
Maybe we're not being told because we know we're experiments. Where something's been here. Fort talks about Charles Fort. We're owned. We're property, right? Something's been here long before us. I don't happen to say, and I don't necessarily agree. I don't know our source. And I got our Reddin guy. He has a belief that a lot of this is breakaway civilization that's been here long before us.
Fascinating.
That's what he thinks. I'm not saying that's the case, but I've kind of heard these things elsewhere. So I also know that Tom DeLonge, when he talks about stuff, I actually heard stuff from our guy that's like, oh shit, I heard that elsewhere. And our guy's not a Tom DeLonge fan. Trust me, he's way old. And so here's something you should check out. I'll give you a piece of information. Denmark UFO crash. There's an incident where supposedly a UAP spit out something that hit a P-51 aircraft, right? And the government actually accidentally, maybe, CIA released a photo and talk about it. Now, go look at Bob White's material. Bob White, similar thing. He had an encounter and it dropped some shit and he grabbed it and talk about it for years because everyone thinks you're crazy. But if you look at those two things, they're almost identical. Now, I heard a story that honeycomb Bob White's material is really good at stealth, right? I also heard a story that there was an Army contract that, who talks about that, Tom DeLonge? So an Army contract that Hal Puthoff has to reverse engineer said honeycomb 4 tanks that you guys have heard that, but not, there was metamaterials, right? Put those together.
Makes sense.
You can go look right now at Bob White's material and the photo the CIA released, almost identical. And it says there, UFO crash, Denmark.
Sam Williams for 199 super chat says, will disclosure happen and society collapses as a possibility? I'm assuming like he's talking about like societal, like would we go into like an apocalypse, like religious crumbles, religious crumble, societal crumble, maybe?
Tell you what,
that'll happen.
Tell you what,
the Vatican's been getting ready.
$1,000, I'll protect you. That's all I need. Look, most people know something's here. If you're worried about society collapsing and stuff like that, I highly doubt that's going to happen. Even religious organizations have started to accept, and you guys may not believe this. I have a feeling
the Vatican has a whole team.
Dude, so again, I don't think it'll collapse. Here's what'll probably happen. A lot of people will need a gray to abduct them and to see that before they believe, because their worldview gets blown, right?
Yeah, man.
So that's probably one of the things that'll happen. The world's not going to go to shit because,
but they're not going to abduct them. They're gonna communicate hopefully openly, where no one has to get abducted anymore.
Shit. Okay, wait. Let's back up.
Okay.
Well, we got treaties, bro. Supposedly, right?
Yeah,
one of those is
fucking
cattle mutilations and abductions. Now, I know people are like, well, why would they do that? What if you really had no goddamn choice? I mean, what are you gonna do? And that's the best situation you can hope for.
Then
they return us. At least they return us.
Then, as in my opinion, if that is revealed, then society collapses. Because if you can be abducted out of your bedroom at will and the government can't protect you, then people aren't going to fucking pay their taxes anymore.
Here you go. Now you're getting why the government doesn't want disclosure. If your United States government can say, hey, I don't know what's here. I don't know how to stop it. I can't prevent this. And we've also been collaborating and letting them take you for a while. That's why they're not going to give you disclosure the way you think. We got to force it. So imagine if they've been collaborating in any way, and I will say that they know way more than just, it's something's here. I think they know quite a bit more about this.
Do you think the Vatican knows more?
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you think in their library they have more information than maybe the U.S. government?
No.
Probably.
Maybe ancient, because
who knows, man. I post stuff like that all the time. This shit's not just now. Here's my opinion, guys. We're owned. Something's been here long before us, whatever you want to call it. Now, you can go back through history and see all kinds of crazy shit happening. That crazy shit leads me to believe we're a cargo cult or we're being given gifts, right? Jacob Jacobson case. You got an airship in like the 1500s where a guy throws a spear. Crazy shit. Right. Airships, stuff that keeps happening that comes before. I've even heard a story about, oh shit, I better not tell. No,
no, tell it. You can't say that. I heard a story
about
you can't do that.
Make up names and locations. Just
I even heard it. Okay, I'll tell you this. This is just me spitballing. I even heard a story about getting jet engines from a crash. Now, wait. Everybody says, wait. But we got jet engines when? And we got that. That's 2 years difference. But what did I say earlier about backdating shit, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you don't have to believe me. Doesn't mean it's true. But I've also heard people tell me this was a hoax. I've heard things like that for years about things now that I know aren't. The reason people say they're a hoax because disinfo went hard. Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Cape Girardeau.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people say hoaxes for all kinds of reasons. Now, look at Seattle, or not Seattle. You had the incident where whatever it was spitting shit out up in Washington, where I live.
Right.
I was under the impression all that shit was a hoax. But the ones that they go hard at for things, right? And I don't know about that one. What I'm trying to say is anything that you want to say is a hoax doesn't necessarily mean it is. If a government, the United States government, the biggest government in the world, wants to make something look like a hoax, come on, guys, they can make you disappear. So we need to start thinking differently. If they're trying to make, now that you got to parse information, obviously, if you can get it from 15 sources, different places that kind of point something's right here, you should start looking. So I'll say that Corso, you mentioned his book, The Day After Tomorrow, you should read that. Particularly, he has a manuscript that was kind of unreleased that was later changed. A lot of that's accurate. He wasn't lying. Hell, his son
just got changed a little.
Yeah, his son, Jesse Marcel Jr. Or no, I'm talking about, I said Corso. Jesse Marcel Jr., fast forward, who I know through the paper, right? Even talks about.
And he's coming on the show.
Oh, is he? Tell him I said hi. He talks about his dad, right? So his father worked for the Army Intelligence, right? There would be a CIC file somewhere that would have a file number. Eric Davis talks about files somewhere, right? I wish I could find, I don't know that, but I wish I could find that CIC file number because they're not throwing this shit out. Somewhere this stuff sits, at least the data information. I don't know if they're keeping bodies and things like that. I will say our source told us Wright-Patterson is where they kept the bodies, in the basement. Doesn't mean it's still there. Hey, holler, senators, check the basement, right, Pat?
Yeah. Why doesn't someone go tell the government, hey, go to Wright-Patterson? Actually, they just had a meeting there. All the agencies. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. And I heard that, by the way, I heard that jet engine thing from multiple places. Does not mean it's real. But when I start hearing it independently of each other from places I trust, I start wondering, shit.
You don't have, you don't have a choice but to wonder about that.
Yeah, it's not like I'm even saying this guy told me that. It's literally vet information. You basically retell it, and people who know or tell you, when you get it from 3 places, then vet starts making you think this shit's crazy. Be ready. But here's the thing. I'm going to poke that shit out of Roswell Daily Record. No one, I can promise you, no one will write about the things that we are allowed to and will and know. The rabbit hole's deep. You guys know me. I'm literally one of you. I mean, UFO, I don't know how I'm here, but I can promise you I know enough about the subject to know that we don't know shit. So it's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And
crazy out there, man.
I gotta end it here, guys. I'm sorry I have to cut it a little bit short. But where can they continue the conversation with you, Shane?
Where? Well, guys, Roswell Daily Record, check out our articles. I have Roswell UFO Symposium, but I also do UAP Med, so I do interviews on there. And I also have a channel, Old Vets UAP Symposium. All I do is dump money and time into this subject because I don't think it's here. I know it is. And I know people need to get the message out. And I also know there's people who are in situations like I was, which sucked. Not all these love and light shit's happening. And you may, PTSD things like that happen. So here I am, guys. I can promise you, I don't need money. I don't need none of that shit from you. I want answers. So if you watch, pay attention. I won't lie. I'll give you what I have. I fuck up, but I tell you when I fuck up. So pay attention.
Yeah, of course. And Tom, aka Cortex Zero, aka Atomic Thomas, where can they continue the conversation with you?
I finally got rid of that stupid Atomic Thomas. I figured it out on Twitter. So now if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's just at Cortex_0. Obviously, I'm happy and grateful for all of you that follow me on there, but definitely follow me on YouTube as well. Cortex0 on YouTube. And I'm mostly active on Twitter and YouTube. My DMs are open. Please, if you have a story, photos, footage, I don't care how weird it is, send it. I don't have a line in the sand. I'm a reasonable guy, but I don't have a line in the sand. No offense, Ty. I'm just saying. I don't care if you saw, a mummy with 7 eyes and he was riding Chuck Norris through the woods. Tell me your story. If it really happened to you, send it away. I will have a conversation with you, please.
Yeah. And if you go to totaldisclosure.org, you can catch up on our latest episodes on Spotify. The videos will automatically play, but you can also find your, podcast platform like Apple or Google, etc. Tom has a section there where you can go and you can check out all his links, and then I have a section where you can check out all mine. So we're doing big things, guys. We got a lot more to basically get to you, and we're gonna open up that thing so you can submit reports. I can't wait to see you all soon, and let's keep exploring the unknown together.